So in today's class, our agenda is to look into SAP BW, and we are going to understand what exactly the master data means and how the master data loads will be happening. Where we have categorization of master data, that is attribute, text, and hierarchy. Mainly in this part of our class, we are focusing on attribute based master data load, and we'll see how the text and hierarchical load will be happen, or maybe text is also going to be included in this, where separately we'll deal with hierarchy. As of now, we have seen how to create object, how to load data, means how to extract data from the source system to data source into PSA with the transactional data. So far the transactional data has been taken up, but how could I define this master data as an attribute by existing or by creating a new data set? So before we get into that, we need to understand what is master data stands for in BW. So the first thing what we have over here is just a diagram which shows extended star schema structure of my BW, where you could see that alright, so when I'm going into this, I could see that this is my one dimension table, and there is another dimension table over here, and I have another dimension table over here, I have another dimension table over here, where this is my fact table, this is my fact table. So center is the fact table, and dimension tables are surrounded to it, like sales organization, material, customer, and time dimensions are my dimension table, where I can see some of the extension has been happened to this dimension tables. Let's look at here. We have sales organization dimension, where sales representative and sales representative number has been divided in two parts. Like we have sales representative master table and sales representative text table. So generally what will happen, the master table we will have attributes, and somehow we may have some hierarchies, where text table will hold up only the information like uh, the sales representative number, or the text detail like which reason he is working and what is his designation and all that will be described into the text table. So it's a extension of your dimension table, which will be maintained in a very common manner. Let's look at here, it will be more clear with respect to the customer dimension. I can have the customer dimension extension to the city, region, country, and also I have a text like the customer text table, which is nothing but a customer name and a language code what using by the customer. So these informations are divided here, where this is an attribute table. When it says customer master table, that means it's a attribute table. Whereas customer text table concerned, we can see that it will hold up the language code, customer name, etc., etc., depending on to the table. So what exactly we are doing is we are simplifying the dimension table, and it's been broken in several parts, which will be coming as an extension of your star schema, and as a result this will be called as SAP BW extended star schema, where you could see that when I'm going into the material underscore dimension, here I could see that I have attribute table, I have text table, and I have hierarchy table. You could see that the material groups like one, let's say let's have an example here, like if it is like one category called automobile, and in automobile we have cars. So cars have classes, and they classes have their categories. So a class, like let's say we can say our category has the classes. So how the hierarchy will be, car is my one at the top, we will have our automobile will be at the top, then will be have cars, bikes, etc., or others. Okay, Under that, we will have like a category like sedan class, my SUV class, hatchback class. In bikes, we may have like cruiser bikes, a sports bike, normal bikes, etc., etc. And then inside that, we have different models. Like in cars, we will have A class, B class, C class, D class, or XI class, LS class, VX class. And in bikes, we will have VBX, R4, R3, R2, like that. The models will be there. So that is what it shows, the flow of your entire product cycle into the hierarchy. So we also maintain in master data in SAP BW as a hierarchy table. So one hierarchy table has been defined over here, where this picture can be broadened up and will be well defined by the next slide, where you could see that we have normal. This is my star schema, the normal star schema here, and this normal star schema is extended. Now each of its dimensions are extended, and that extension is linked to the SID table, and that SID table will have master data. So where it says master data, it's actually an attribute. It's actually an attribute. When it says master data, it says it's nothing but an attribute, because attribute is main out of all of it, where attribute is the main part of the master data compared to text and hierarchy, where master data text and hierarchy. So whenever we are talking about extended star schema, we have to remember that each of the dimensions are extended to the master data, and master data are of three types. One is master data attribute, master data text, and master data hierarchy. What do you mean by master data attribute? Master data attribute is nothing but it's a detail about the dimension, nothing else. Where text is nothing but it's a textual information about the dimension, like the language I said, name of the customer, name of the products, and product codes, or some more information can be taken up into the text. Where hierarchy is nothing but it's a tree structure or tree flow uh, from the parent to child relationship. It used to be defined. All right, so these three are my master data information which used to be maintained under my extended star schema in SAP BW. And this is what we are going to see, that how a data source can be taken up as a master data and how it is going to be assigned inside the BW modeling side. So let's let's go ahead and let's talk about that in my further one, where you could see that I have taken the slice of one part of dimension, where you could see that the master data table and the text table and hierarchy tables are elaborated. Well, go back and let's look into the our server, and we'll see where exactly we are going to have my master data attributes, hierarchy, and text will be defined. Well, we are onto the source system. We need to go to the source system, which is file system dedicated, and this is a real-time server, so we can't create any source system. Make sure that in real time we are not allowed to create source systems. There'll be already predefined source system created based on the data sources, where my intention is to load a data, and the data set what we have to load it is this CSV file, where I have ID, we have name, we have department, we have salary, and we have my currency. So we can forget about this salary and currency for some times, or else we can take it up. There is no worry. But here my primary keys are primary ID is nothing but this ID column, by which these datas are going to be uniquely defined. So what it details will be, its details are nothing but my dimension detail. It should be a dimension detail, not KPIs anymore. So KPIs are not going to be considered as master data's information, because we already seen the picture. Make sure that it is clear that master data is extension of dimension, not fact. So these are factual information. These are dimension based information uh, of this ID. So when I say this ID has attribute called Sudhir and BSK, so its name and department is going to be my attribute. So if I need to specify that, what is my attribute and what is your attribute, what I need to say is my name, my address. It could be also divided in two parts: professional detail and personal detail, where professional detail will have my office address, my office designation, etc., etc., whereas personal information will hold up my personal address, my date of birth, or my marriage anniversary, etc., etc. So that is nothing but your attribute. The detail about you is nothing but your attribute. All right, so these all things we are going to assign into this object as an attribute. What we are going to do in BW while we are doing a modeling, we are going to create an object called ID name department. So under ID object, the characteristic ID object, we are going to define my these two objects as a attribute of it. So basically, let me go back and take you to the info object side, where info object has info area. Let me look into anywhere, and when I'm going into the characteristic catalog, I could see that there is there is a there are tabs over here which is enlisted inside my object. Apart from the general, we have several more tabs over here, where you could see that master data text tab and hierarchy tab is there. So master data text hierarchy is available here, where when you come over here, when you allow the attribute only, then you will find the attribute tables are also going to be inside it. All right, so a customer number, when I look into the customer number and I'm just going for edit, and when I specify attribute only, so attribute will be seen over here. So what I need to do is, this is my customer number, it's a unique number, and customer key, name 1, city, postal code, date on which record has been generated, those all are detail of this customer number. So under the attribute tab, these are all going to be defined. Why I'm not taking the master data text? Because most of the time the master data texts are enabled, where I could give you an example of master data text item uh, by opening one of the details here. One second. Uh, let me define it into the existing one. Let's say here I have 3 columns. I'm talking about master data text, and I have an information here, like we have EMP ID. All right, so employee ID will be there, and then we will have employee short text, employee medium text, and employee large text. So basically these all informations are nothing but text-based information, where I can say employee number 001, his employee short description will be like its name or designation. Then the further more informations are like employee middle information would be the same or more in elaborated, and large information will be the large information in an elaborated format. That is nothing but your master data text information about any object. So you could see that in master data text tab, when we enable with master data, you could see that SOC test exist, medium length text exists, and long text exists. There are three columns which is available for my master data text, and generally it will be maintained. Let's say I have a customer and customer master data text is there. So master data, like customer short text will be its name, just a name. I can say the only the first name, or in a short format whatever the name is there. When I go to medium, I can specify his name in more elaborated format, and in the large we can make it complete name, complete set of name if it is contains first name, last name, and middle name. So everything will be defined at that long text exists. So at that side we are maintaining all this information. So most of the time master data with text are enabled with short text exists, but attributes and hierarchy are purely defined it. Okay, purely defined it. So we are going to do the same. We are going to define the attributes by using my existing data set which I'm going to create over here. So my info object is going to be created, create info area. I'm going to create a new info area and I'm going to call it ZIA underscore uh, demo underscore master data. It's nothing but a master data. So generally it's a technical name, so we are not going to entertain that much. So MD, it's a master data, and info area for master data. So now my info area has been created at the bottom, and just moving to the bottom and just looking at my info area which has been created here. Just I'll refresh the whole tree to get it done. Let me check it whether it is created or not. Mine is ZIA underscore demo underscore MD. So here it is. It's been created over here, and once it is created, I'm going to create a catalog based on my data sets, which is available here. And we have characteristic datas, and we have KPIs here. We have KPI here called salary. So basically, I need to create two catalog, one for characteristic, one for my key figure. So let me create my characteristic catalog. That will be Z IOC info object catalog for demo underscore MD, and this is nothing but I'm not going to repeat it everything. I'm going to call it info object catalog for master data. Alright, and already the ready button has been selected for characteristic from info object type, and we will click on create button, and that will bring it up my catalog which I need to activate here, um, when you are creating it. Alright, so just to have a sake of this, uh, let's I just said no that time, so let me see whether it is there, still there or not. Okay. Info area or info object catalog for master data, and here we go, and it's been available here. Now I'll say validate. I'm going to check it. If is consistent, I'm going to activate it, and once it is activated it will be available. So it's been activated. I can go back and I can check out my info area will have the info object catalog for characteristic. This is info object catalog for master data characteristics. Basically, you need to specify that characteristic, but as of now, I'll may specify in here. More probably, this need to be like this: demo underscore. This should be like KF MD. That will be the proper one, and make sure that it's been converted already. And this is info object catalog for catalog of key figure for master data. Alright, we can do the create here, and again it will go back and it will give me the key figure folder here. That means it's a key figure dedicated catalog. We'll check it, we'll validate it. Alright, we'll go with the save, and it's been activated now. When I go back, I can see my info object catalog here. So basically, if it is KF here, then it will be always characteristics. It is showing the icon also. So now I have to create these objects into it, which is ID, name, department, salary. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create object into my characteristic catalog called ID, name, department. So first one is ID. So Z ID. What ID? It's an employee ID, right? So EMP ID, or I can say only Z ID. Okay, and then long description will have ID or EMP ID, and we'll say okay, it is already existing. So what I can do is I can mention ID MD master data. Okay, so ID MD is my measurement. So here exactly what I have is number or alphanumerics here. So I'll go with the character. I can go with the character string, and the entire thing will be treated as character, where the four characters are allowed in this, and these need to be activated. Before we proceed with this, I am going to check the attribute only into this, and then I'm going to validate it. The first one, the ID is going to be validated one with the configuration attribute only into the general tab. Once it is activated, I can look into it and I can see that my employee ID has been created here. Now I need to go and I create the object called name. So name is equal to the Z name and MD master data name. So here it is nothing description. I just didn't put any description over there, and this is going to be a characteristic, and let's say 20 characters are allowed in this, and long description will be like name of EMP, name, and also into the short description. So, alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check, I'm going to validate. So it's been activated. So let me get into the view, and you could see that two of the object has been created. Now I'll create another one, which is nothing but a department object. So let me see that the data source here, it's a department. So DEPT, so Z DEPT, we are going to prefix with Z. It's nothing but EMP DEPT. Alright, so we'll say create, and as this data is in character, I'm going to select the character string, and mostly it is like 10 characters. So I'm going to check it, activate it. Once it is done, I'm going to bring it up. These objects are here. uh, what do I need to do now is I have to create one more object which is dedicated for key figure, and that key figure object is salary. So Z sal will be my salary column, and it's a EMP sal. Alright, so this is going to be created, and its amount, and it's not a fixed currency, it is going to be zero currency, because we are having already a currency field into there, which is changing. So let me find out the zero currency here, and I'll assign that zero currency into this. I believe it's a O currency. Zero currency inside it. So zero currency has been applied, and the data type will be amount. And here I'm going to check it, activate it. Now the objects are created. Well, now what I need to do is I need to get into the EMP ID, and I have to assign all my attributes into it. So I'll go to the attribute tab, where already I have checked the attribute only into my employee ID, and I'm going to assign my attributes over here. So just enabling it, and copying the technical name of my employee name and pasting into the attribute, and then the employee department into this. So there are two attributes available inside it. When I am done with that, I'm going to check it, I'm going to activate it. So what will happen? This is going to be assigning of attribute for this image. That means employee ID will have the extended master data, which is nothing but attribute called employee name and employee department. So you could see that master data attribute has been applied into this my employee ID. So while we are doing my reporting, at the time when we do the drill down process, this will help me to figure out my details based on the attribute which is assigned into it. So that is beneficial. The master data attributes are more majorly going to be used for the purpose of uh, taking drill down process to have more detail or in-depth information about the business area. All right, so we are done from the info object side. Now I have to go to the source system, and I have to load the data, because object we have created, fine, we are fine with that, but I need to have load of this file into my PSA. So how will I do that? For that sake, I'm going to say new window, RSA1, ORSA1 backslash ORSA1, which will bring it up a new window for me, and I can see that one new window has already been open up here. The purpose of getting the new window here to have it one second, it's not enabled. Okay, it's not working. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, everything okay. Here it shows, but it's not coming up. Oh, both is same. Alright, so no problem. Edit characteristic. Okay, here it is. And into another one. Okay, it's both has been gone. Let's go to the master data demo MD and open up everything here so that we can map it out. And just minimizing this one so that I can utilize it very well. And here I need to have one open window. 1 second. There's something wrong. We are not getting it anyway. Let me close the other one, and let me plunge once again the key code here, backslash, oh, new window. I just want to modeling data warehouse. All right. And here we go, the small one. So I'll keep it that small. Here I'll go to the source system, and we'll select the file system, generic file source system, and I'll create a data source here uh, by creating application component inside it. So my application component is going to be Z application component underscore this is going to be master data for master data, and the long description is going to be application component for master data. We are not defining it what master data we are going to load it. Okay, no problem. And our application component for master data has been created at the bottom. Now I need to create my uh, data source here. So my data source is going to be zds underscore md, where z file is my source system name. The most important thing we need to take care over here while creating my data source is like my data source type. Previously when we loaded the transactional data, we have selected transactional data. Now I need to go and select master data attribute because we are loading attribute. So transactional data, when we have transactional information, master data text, if you are loading master data text only, when you are loading master data attribute, we will say master data attribute. So data source data type will be, means this data source will be dedicated for master data attribute. So we have several options here: transaction, master datas, and segment data. Hierarchy is also master data. So I'm going to select master data attribute here, and then I'm going to say transfer. So basically it's going to create here, and this is going to be have MD attribute, and I'm gonna select this whole and just going to paste it over here as well in the long description and short description of the text. And then I'm gonna proceed with extraction tab, where I need to specify my file, and this file located at the specific location. Like I don't need to save it. I think I don't have. Anyway, so I'm just going into it. I need to go to my this PC, wherever the client is installed, it can point out there, where I need to go into the SAP BW document folder and document library and BW Excel, and R1 is master data attribute, the first one. Let me check it out because I need to check it before we proceed with that, and this is the one. So I'm gonna select and say open. It's been taken up here. I just want to ignore the first row, which is header, and then data format is going to be separated with the separator CSV, which is comma separated value. So instead of semicolon, we'll specify the comma here. Then proposal tab. Under proposal tab, we'll load the example data, and we'll see everything based on my source file is loaded up here or not. So this is showing perfectly here. So I'll go to the fields tab. The most important thing on the fields tab, what I need to do is my configuration of my objects into it. So here this window is required, and we need to copy my all objects technical name into it to configure it. So ZI for ID we did it, copied and pasted, and again we went on and we'll do it for name. We'll copy it and then we'll paste it here. Again for my department. Alright, So department is also going to be happen here, like technical name need to be pasted here. And at last my salary, which is a KPI, also need to be pasted here. The key, the currency window will automatically come when I go to the preview. It will say copying. We'll do the copy. So automatically, if I go back, I could see that zero currency has been added here. How could I? The key fee has showing up here where I don't have the key fields into it. Let me check it out. The key fields, which okay, the file has the key fields. So okay, so that's why it is pointing out. Otherwise, it shouldn't have the pointing out. So I may can have this currency could be into the zero currency part. Anyway, just go to the preview side, activate it. Okay, fine. Let me check out my file first of all, because I need to check it out what's here. I need to specify here zero currency. So zero currency will be the field here, and it's been saved. I need to update it everywhere. USD, INR, NZ, DEM. Means we have different keys, so we are not having a fixed key here. So that will be fine here. Alright, so I'm going into the extraction tab one more time, just mapping the path of it. Once again, we mapped proposal, just loading one more time, so that proposal will have the currency here. So now it is perfect. We don't have the keys column here. Now it is a currency. Alright, so I'll go to the fields tab and we'll have it one more time. And I have Z underscore ID, so we'll see that. Okay, here it is. Then I have one second, just missed it. It's going to be Z. It's a name, so okay. Here is the name, and here is my department, and here is my salary, and here is my zero currency. So once everything is specified here, I can go to the preview tab where I need to copy the data, and I have to reload the preview data where I have to activate this data source. Then only it is going to be preview my data. So activating my data source and allowing my file to fetch the data over here, and this is how the data will be displayed into the PSA. So just at the data source level, we generally use to preview the data to understand the fact how the data is going to be available at our end. And also we wanted to have the data should be in that format only. So I got the data into this format. Now I need to create my info package, and info package I need to right click onto this data source, and I have to create an info package where the package will have the PSA and the load will be happened into that. So this is info this is info package for MD. Let me do that, IPMD, and we'll do the save here. So what it will bring it up here is my entire structure of the package, what we had already into the data source label. Just we need to go and check out everything with whatever configuration we have did it into the data source table. The same configuration will be carried out. Processing is only going to be into the PSA. An update is going to be a full update schedule where I just wanted to load the data immediately. So we'll say start. So allowing the data access from the source file, and data has been requested. That means it has been loaded into this. So I'll do one thing. I'll say refresh here the entire tree, and I'll right click onto the data source and say manage. I can see that the package is created, or the package has been created here with green symbol. That means it's without error. I'll go to the bottom right, and there is an option called PSA maintenance. This is the option for PSA maintenance. I'll go and click on it, and we could see that how many records has been loaded into the PSA. There 4 records are loaded. Just say continue, and it will bring it up the entire set of data which is loaded into it. So actually we loaded employee name, department, salary, currency. So all those things have been taken up here uh, into this into the PSA. So that's how basically that's how we do a master data load for attribute. The same way we can load it my text information also, where instead of selecting my data type of data source master data attribute, we would have to select master data text. So that will hold up only the textual information, like my short description, medium description, and long description. That's all about the subject. Where hierarchy is typically different, and when we select a hierarchy data source, it will allow the data source to extract the data into the PSA in a hierarchical manner, like from the source system to my uh, data source, means outside world to inside world of BW. The data is going to be defined in that format. Generally it will be carried out. Let me close this window and let me open up this one, where I'm just going once into my this employee ID, or this ID object, where when I go to the hierarchy, and for the time being I'll say enable, and yes, switch to edit mode, and hierarchy, when you say with hierarchy, we need to make it make it done with the hierarchy. Let me switch to edit mode. It's not turning on. Okay, now it's been turned on. I'll go to the hierarchy and we'll say with hierarchy. When we say with hierarchy, automatically these all options are enabled, where external characters in hierarchy need to be used for defining my hierarchy. We'll click on external chars in hierarchy, and all the objects we have created, we need to take it over here. We have to bring it up with the parent-child relationship. Like the parent will be on top and the child will be at the bottom, and then the parent-child relationship defined into it, and we need to activate it. We need to check it and activate it. And while I'm going to load the data at the data source side, we need to select my, sorry, I just checked it into the hierarchy side hierarchy, but I haven't defined it. Let me uncheck it and just check it once and activate it. Alright, so at the time when we deal with hierarchy, we need to see that we need to have it the hierarchical data. Like we will create one file which holding up designations in an organization, like MD, then we will have several executives, and under executives we have directors, then under directors we have uh, additional directors, and under additional directors we will have like project managers, and under project managers we'll have team lead, and then under team lead we will have employee. So like that, we need to have some flat hierarchy data onto my spreadsheet on Excel in the CSV format. We'll utilize that format and we'll bring it up the data into the BW system by using master data hierarchy concept. One thing I would like to tell you here, when we are looking into the data source to understand whether the load has been happened or not, I can also do one thing. Always we have this option manage, or else you can go to this monitor option called monitor for BW object, and when you go for that, you will have PSA maintenance option available. So just click over there and it will bring it up the recent record which is loaded into PSA, uh, into the package. So that is also a method by which you can see how much load and what data has been loaded into the data source from the external world, and how, like, what data has been extracted from the source system to the data source label into the PSA. All right, so this is basically about your master data attribute and master data text load into the BW system um, by a source system as a flat file. So we have seen the flat file as a source system. All right, so this is all about for today's session.